John Wall, he was the first pick in the 2010 draft after 1 year at Kentucky. You know, that Kentucky team that he played on with DeMarcus Cousins and Eric Bledsoe, which is a team that I think that team, look, that team deserves a documentary, 30 for 30, because when you think about that team and you think about one and done stars, right? Or even just teams that are dominated by freshmen, right? Of course, you have the Fab Five. The Fab Five were not one and done. They had five starters, five freshmen as starters, but all those guys played at least 2 years. I think Chris and Juwan played 2 years, and Jalen played I think 3 years at Michigan. So and then you fast forward some, and I know there's some other guys who only did 1 year. I think Marbury did 1 year at Georgia Tech, um, and then when Luol Deng came out after 1 year at Duke, and then you fast forward some, no, 2008, and that was a great year in college basketball. You had Memphis with Derrick Rose, of course, also coached by Calipari, and you had the UCLA team with um, Kevin Love and Westbrook. Westbrook was a sophomore that year. And the year before that, that was the Durant and Oden year. But I feel like 2010 for them to have, also 2000, Mike Conley was also on that Ohio State team with Oden. But for them to have three guys on that 2010 Kentucky team, they were all first round picks and after coming out as freshmen. Wall went number one. I think Cousins went third or fourth or something like that. And I just feel like it was like a watershed moment. It just kicked out. It was Calipari's first year at Kentucky, and we know all he did for the next 15 years was, send one and done guys to the league who became stars and made boatloads of money. And um, then you know, and then all the programs that copied Kentucky after that, Duke being the foremost example of that, which previously, Coach K, like I said, with Luol Deng, that was really the only one and done star. And, Corey Maggette in '99, within Luol Deng, who was a top five pick, I think, or top six. Well, they might have been the seventh pick in the draft, actually. But that was a pretty big deal when Luol, I guess it was, I wasn't watching college basketball when Maggette was a freshman at Duke. But, Luol Deng, that seemed like something that was important when it happened. And then uh, in like I said, but after after Calipari started his Kentucky run, and then you go into I said, Coach K, he wasn't going to stand there with his hands in his pocket. The ante had been up. He got involved, and UCLA had some star freshmen. Kansas, they had some star freshmen. Of course, they had the year when they had Embiid and Andrew Wiggins. Um, North Carolina that year uh, with um, with Harrison Barnes. Um, that was like the start of that trend. Of having not just one star freshman on the team who was going to be a high draft pick, but multiples. You know, and yeah, that team just just for being the first of those Kentucky teams, to to do that, I feel like it was it was meaningful, you know. And then in the NBA, you know, he had a very good NBA. Well, before the injuries, anyway. He had he was a he was a fantastic player. You know, made 5 All-Star teams. Although he only played 647 games over 11 seasons. You know, he had career averages of 19 points, 4 rebounds, and 9 assists. His best season was in 2017. He averaged 23.1 points, 4.2 rebounds, 10.7 assists, and 2 steals. He shot 45% from the field. The Wizards won 49 games. He played 78 of those 82. He made All-NBA third team and finished 7th in the MVP voting. And then they made the second round of the playoffs. And in 13 games that year, he averaged 27 points, 4 rebounds, and 10 assists. He also made second team all defense in 2015. And we know what I always remember John Wall for is being one of the most lightning quick, like one of the fastest point guards to ever play the game end to end. You know, I always grouped him together with a couple other guys who came in a couple of years before him, that being Russell Westbrook and Derrick Rose. Probably those 3 of the best pure athletes to ever play the point guard position. You know, and you know, I would say Rose and Westbrook. They were built more compact than I mean, D Rose especially. I feel like Russ is a little lankier, but also like more muscular. You know, Wall was just kind of just all he was arms and legs kind of. I always wonder like who would win in just a foot race if those 3, you know, were in a race. Who would win it? And you know, we'll never know. I remember one time I asked a guy that I went to high school with named Adrian Flowers, and I think he might have, because you know Westbrook and Derrick Rose they're just raw speed, raw leaping ability, almost like unrestrained, you know. And I think he said that John Wall, the difference between him is that he could change gears, he could change directions. Now those guys could too, especially D Rose, as far as change of direction goes. But you know, I mean, John Wall, when he got that ball in the break, and he was going, you know, he could stop, he could slow down, and then speed back up. He could change directions, he could pull it back out. So there's something to be said for that, you know. And you know, once again, I just think that his career was worth some retrospection, you know, because I think he was a really good player, and I think that like I said, that Kentucky team that he was on, what they started at Kentucky. If you just think about all the guys that they put into the league, man, it was really something, you know. So props to John Wall on a fantastic career, man. He did what he had to do. Hopefully, he made enough money to last him for the rest of his life.